everyone in Katie's life is trying to program her into being what they want. So there's toxic personality traits and there's things happening that are bad on all sides. It's not just Regina George. Welcome to Cinema Therapy. I am Alan Seawright, professional filmmaker, and I need therapy. And I am joined today by two therapists.
I'm Jonathan Decker, licensed therapist, and I love movies, and we're super excited about this.
So excited. We have as our guest the Dr. Stephanie Sarkis.
The Dr. Sarkis?
The Dr. Sarkis.
Who many of you know from our Tangled episode, 11 Signs of Gaslighting as portrayed by Mother Gothel, but the backbone of that episode was your work. Tell us about you and your background.
I'm a psychotherapist. I've been in private practice for about 20 years. I also have written 8 books, including the Gaslighting book that you referenced. I mainly specialize in narcissistic abuse and also ADHD and anxiety.
That is so fetch.
We were fanboying pretty hard. Do you remember the day on Twitter? I called Alan and I'm like, she saw the video. Dr. Sarkis tweeted about us.
Ex-boyfriends are just off limits to friends. I mean, that's just like the rules of feminism.
Well, today I really wanted to talk to both of you about a narcissistic abuser. So
perfect.
We got an expert.
Regina George. How do I even begin to explain Regina George? One time, she punched me in the face. It was awesome.
Regina George from Mean Girls, the classic 2004 comedy film.
We're looking for gaslighting, manipulation, narcissism, all these things that Regina George is just awful.
Sure.
But we did a video on Aragorn and toxic masculinity. We had people commenting, well, what about toxic femininity? Isn't that a thing? Or people saying, well, toxic people are just toxic people. It's not linked to gender. And I disagree because males and females are socialized to be certain ways, right?
Yes.
When you look at a subset that is not the dominant, you usually don't assign a toxic label to that. Toxic applies to the person in power or the group in power, not the ones that are not as much in power.
You talk about power. It's like Mario when he takes the mushroom or the fire flower. It's like superpowered prejudice. And similar thing, like
I did not expect this to go into Mario, but I like it.
Never underestimate.
I like it.
Mario can show up anytime. And so I do think, and we'll see in Mean Girls, there are ways that women might be socialized to be or to act that can be maladaptive or harmful, but it's not coupled with societal power. One of the ways that men are socialized to be, I mean, you can watch our whole video on Aragorn versus toxic masculinity. Don't cry, don't show emotion, don't show vulnerability, be strong, be dominant. And look, being strong is a great thing. I'm not
Sure.
When we talk about, there are a lot of traditionally masculine traits that are really positive things, and both male, female, and non-binary can possess and display masculine or feminine energy. When people ask the question, is there such a thing as toxic femininity and how women are socialized to be, the first movie that came to mind
Is Mean Girls.
is Mean Girls.
We definitely wanted to have a female guest on to speak a little bit more authoritatively, someone who's studied this at least a little bit.
I'm a new student here. My name is Katie Heron.
Talk to me again and I'll kick your ass.
Right, and I think we need to look at, too, part of the reason why we may be seeing girls and women that have this kind of, like you see in Mean Girls, this kind of societal structure. We have been taught, or we have learned, that there are only so many seats at the table.
It's Monday.
So that's against the rules, and you can't sit with us.
That leads to this kind of hierarchy. So you can have social structures like you see in Mean Girls, absolutely, but we also have a lot of women supporting women, but that doesn't usually make it into movies. And I think that, again, not enough attention is paid to women that support women.
Well, it's that age-old question, right, of does society reflect media or does media reflect society? And in this case, I think media is, to some extent, reflecting society, but it's reflecting the part of society where you can get good drama and tell an interesting story. Because telling a story about women being really supportive of each other is like...
Doesn't get a lot of praise.
Yay.
I could think of a good one.
Hidden Figures.
And Little Women. We did a great episode on Little Women, women supporting women. That's a fantastic story.
Is that your natural hair color?
Yeah,
It's gorgeous.
thank you.
See, this is the color I want.
This is Damien. He's almost too gay to function.
Nice to meet you.
Nice wig, Janis. What's it made of?
Your mom's chest hair. I'm Janis.
Hi, I'm Katie. Do you guys know where room G14 is?
Health, Tuesday, Thursday, room G14.
I think that's in the back building.
Oh, yeah, that's in the back building.
Yeah, we'll take you there.
Thanks.
Watch out, please. New meat coming through. Health, Spanish. You're taking.
So one of the reasons I wanted to
Yeah, I like math.
address this scene is because, you know, sort of everyone in Katie's life is trying to program her into being what they want. So there's toxic personality traits and there's things happening that are bad on all sides. It's not just Regina George.
Into trouble. We're friends.
I know it's wrong to skip class, but Janis said we were friends, and I was in no position to pass up friends.
So she's particularly susceptible to this right now because she's trying to fit in somewhere, and her first day was not very good. And this brings up a topic. I read a book one time, how to fix your marriage without talking about it, or something like that. We'll put the actual title right here if I got it wrong. And I thought this was interesting. Dr. Sarkis, or sorry, Stephanie. We're on first name basis now. I'd like to know your thoughts on this.
Or you could call me the Stephanie.
The Stephanie.
The Stephanie.
The thesis of the book is that for men, the primary fear is feeling ashamed. And that a lot of what we call toxic masculine behaviors are driven by a fear of being ashamed. And for women, the book postulates that the major fear is losing connections. Either not having connections or losing connections. And a lot of what we see as negative female socialization from bullying and what we see in all throughout Mean Girls of how they dress, how they act. Regina's friends really just want to fit in with her and just want to be popular. They cut the nipples out of her tank top. But then everyone at school starts doing that, right? I want to fit in and I want to have connections and I don't want to be alone. And everything from those behaviors to mean and quote-unquote catty behaviors, even to being sexually active when you don't feel ready to be. Because if I'm not, then I won't have a boyfriend or I won't have this person, you know. All sorts of things are tied to I don't want to lose connections or fail to develop connections.
Because being with the plastics was like being famous. People looked at you all the time and everybody just knew stuff about you.
I think it's an interesting premise, and we do know that female brains tend to be wired more for communication. I think it's tricky because we can tend to fall into the stereotyping of genders as well.
Right.
So Katie's come from Africa. She's in the middle of this new school zone, and you have two people reaching out to her without expressing any power, but then there's an inherent power too in telling her that she doesn't have to go to class. And so there's, so I think a lot of it is, and it's not just shame, but power and control. So I think that's part of the toxicity as well.
This is the fertility vase of the Ndebele tribe. Does that mean anything to you?
No.
I don't believe in men are from Mars, women are from Venus, and men are like this and women are like that, largely because that's not my experience. I am the traditional female in my marriage. I am the one who needs to vent and to be validated. My wife just wants to fix things. If you want to talk about feelings or relationships, you go to me. If something needs to be fixed, like actually fixed, then you go to her, you know? But I do think as far as how women are socialized to be, Mean Girls has a lot to say.
Would you like us to assign someone to butter your muffin?
My what? Is he bothering you? Jason, why are you such a skis?
I'm just being friendly.
You were supposed to call me last night. Jason, you do not come to a party at my house with Gretchen and then scam on some poor innocent girl right in front of us 3 days later. She's not interested. Do you want to have sex with him?
No, thank you.
Good. So it's settled. So you can go shave your back now. Bye, Jason.
Oof. So cutting, but so funny.
Sit down. Seriously, sit down.
I just love the contrast of these two scenes where they're two characters doing the exact same thing, sort of manipulating Katie into being the person that they want.
I used to be homeschooled.
Wait, what?
My mom taught me at home.
No, I know what homeschool is. I'm not retarded. So you've actually never been to a real school before? Shut up. Shut up.
I didn't say anything.
Homeschool. It's really interesting.
Thanks.
You're like really pretty.
Thank you.
So you agree?
What?
You think you're really pretty?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh my God, I love your bracelet. Where did you get it?
Oh, my mom made it for me.
It's adorable.
So as far as how they bring her in, I mean, you're an expert on manipulation. That makes you sound like a bad person. You are.
An academic researcher.
Yeah, you are an
bad.
academic
Sometimes
expert.
If you need something, manipulation helps you figure out how to work the system too.
Right.
Sure.
Manipulation itself isn't necessarily bad.
What's Regina's game right here? What is she trying to accomplish?
Well, you can see the way that they've set up the shot with her in the middle. She's obviously the one in power and control. And there's the twisting of words where she says, well, oh, so you think you're pretty. So it's putting her under that kind of spell of, Regina's the boss.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And she's going to tell you what you think, and she's going to question what you think. And she's also going to make sure that the language that's used is approved by her. Because, as we also see later, fetch doesn't fly real well with her.
Stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
You see also, that pull between here's the, popular group, or the plastics, and here are the friends that she originally met, saying, what I think Janis says, what are you doing? They're all wearing a certain style of outfit, and Katie's not. So there's a real power differential there. And the fact that you are extending a special invitation to lunch, like it's an engraved invitation, they are very, very well aware of where their social standing is.
In exchange for the honor of joining our social circle, you must conform, and you must adhere to how we are.
We wear pink on Wednesday.
Yeah, this is not a come as you are, you're welcome as you are, and we want to get to know you. This is, hey, we're looking for another accessory.
How do you overthrow a dictator? You cut off her resources. Regina would be nothing without her high-status man candy, technically good physique, an ignorant band of loyal followers. Now, Caddy, if we want this to work, you are gonna have to keep hanging out with them like nothing is wrong. Can you do it?
I can do it.
Okay, let's rock this.
Also, I love that Janis always calls her Caddy.
How do you spell your name again, Caddy?
It's Katie. C-A-D-Y.
Yeah, I'm gonna call you Caddy.
One, it's set up as a joke early on, but then it lets her keep calling her Caddy, and it's just it's really solid writing. Not particularly subtle, but Katie ends up very catty by the end.
Ooh, nicely done.
Well, and also, too, you have a lot of control over someone when you pronounce their name the way you want to pronounce it.
Oh, see, there you go.
It's a subtle manipulation tactic.
You are so right, Stefani.
That's the Stefani.
The Stefani.
The Stefani, yeah. See? And now she took the power back.
She took the power right back. Boom.
See?
Love it.
I specialize in manipulation.
What are you?
I'm a mouse. Duh.
What did you see in that scene? Is she using the same manipulation techniques, different ones? What's happening here?
Again, the name changing is part of it.
Sure.
And I think there's something about her using the sword too, the little play sword that is kind of showing, this is how serious this is, that we're going to take her down. I always thought that was an interesting symbolism of using that sword. So they're playing kids games, but also there's a lot of potential for people to get psychologically hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's an interesting take on it. And she's also kind of rallying the troops, right? That they're all tired of her, and Janis is a great ringleader, right? Yeah. She kind of amps everybody up. So yeah, there's some manipulation in that. She's talking about a dictator, but at the same time, she's also exhibiting some of the behaviors a dictator would exhibit.
She's being dictatorial.
So, which is revving the audience up and giving them a common goal to hate.
Well, and I'm glad that you brought up the sword too, because something that people don't really think about a lot is every single thing in a movie is planned. So the fact that she's holding a sword, the props department made that decision. They probably talked to the director, like, what do you want her pointing at the thing with? We have this, and a sword. And the director was like, yes, definitely a sword. It gives you that great metal on chalkboard scrape.
That's not great.
When what's great about it is it makes it uncomfortable. This is a funny scene where we're setting up, we're going to take down the army of skanks. But when we point at army of skanks, there's that horrible screech on the soundtrack that tells you, this isn't going to be as enjoyable as you think.
Well, I think it's fascinating watching it because I didn't, until you said this, I'd never thought of Janis as a second antagonist.
Oh, yeah.
Because I always thought, well, Janis
because she's so funny, right?
Because she's funny and because she's cool and she's different and she was victimized by Regina.
Right.
And so you're rooting for her.
Regina George is not sweet. She's a scum-sucking road horse. She ruined my life.
But if you really look at it, she just like Regina, marginalizes people who are different. Like he's too gay to function, right? And she says it, I mean, this is like a joke because he's my friend. And later on it's like, it's only okay if I say that. But is it really okay? Whereas Regina's like, I'm not retarded. You know, they both use this type of language, but it still sets them up. And then they both are using Katie for their own purposes, and they're both, like you're saying catty, or saying this is how you're going to dress, this is how you're going to act. I mean, they're both saying do this, and just telling her what to do to meet their own ends. There is a lot of overlap there. I think we're positioned maybe in life to justify behavior that is inappropriate because the person was a victim or was mistreated, so we're actually rooting for them.
There are no rules in this house. I'm not like a regular mom. I'm a cool mom. Right, Regina?
Please stop talking.
She's using the same methods. And if you look at Regina, she has an enabling mother who doesn't know how to be a parent. Right. Her parents are, there's a whole lot of stress and strain there. She was spoiled. I'm not saying she's a victim. I'm saying people are complicated.
Yeah.
And I actually I'm not going to, but by the end, Regina regains some humanity, right? Janis as well. We see that they're not just these caricatures.
Yeah, they learn and grow.
Hello? If someone says something bad about you, you'd want me to tell you, right?
No.
If it was someone that was your friend.
What do you... Hold on, other line.
I'm not taking this anymore.
Good for you, Gretchen.
Hello?
Let's go out.
Okay, hold on. I'm on the other line with Gretchen.
Don't invite Gretchen. She's driving me nuts.
Hold on.
Okay, hurry up.
It's Regina. She wants to hang out with me tonight, but she told me not to tell you. Do not hang out with her.
Why?
Oh, you don't want me to tell you.
Oh, you can tell me. Hold on. Oh my god, she's so annoying.
Who is?
Who's this?
Gretchen.
Hold on. Oh my god, she's so annoying.
I know.
And they just let that slide.
Yeah, it's just expected.
Okay, what is it?
Regina says everyone hates you because you're such a slut.
She said that?
You didn't hear it from me.
A little harsh, Gretch.
Whatever, she has a right to know.
I can't go out. I'm sick.
Boo, you whore.
So let's talk about what triangulation is.
So triangulation is used to pit people against each other. So if you have someone that, let's say a narcissist, they will tell their victim, hey, your sister said this about you, and it's usually some horrible thing that the sister never said, and you are now mad at your sister, which isolates you from your sister and attaches you more to the narcissist. So you can see that they're talking about each other, but they're not talking to each other. So it sets up a lot of drama, and usually a narcissist will sit back and watch people distance themselves or fight amongst each other. And you can see the triangulation going in all different formats between them during that scene. So it's a really powerful way for people seeking power to divide and conquer, basically.
They do gain power, but what they lose is tremendous.
Yeah.
I mean, the ability to have actual secure attachments and actual connections and actual fulfillment from a relationship is just completely torched in favor of power plays.
Well, and that seems like a way to gain temporary power. Am I right? I mean, that doesn't seem like a long-term building of a coalition or something. It's
no.
Well, for somebody with narcissistic personality disorder, they have an egocentric personality where they think that everyone else has the problem, they don't. So they don't even realize a lot of times what they're losing by engaging in that behavior.
I'm feeling really called out right now, but that's okay.
Buddy, you're not pretending anymore. You're plastic. Cold, shiny, hard plastic.
Curfew, 1 a.m. It is now 1:10.
Did you have an awesome time? Did you drink awesome shooters and listen to awesome music and then just sit around and soak up each other's awesomeness?
You know what? You're the one who made me like this, so you could use me for your 8th grade revenge.
God, see, at least me and Regina George know we're mean. You try to act like you're so innocent. Like,
Oh, I used to live in Africa with all the little birdies and the little monkeys. You know what? It's not my fault you're like in love with me or something.
What?
Oh, no, she did not.
See, that is the thing with you plastics. You think that everybody is in love with you when actually everybody hates you. Like Aaron Samuels, for example, he broke up with Regina, and guess what? He still doesn't want you. So why are you still messing with Regina, Katie? I'll tell you why, because you are a mean girl. You're a bitch. Here, you can have this and win a prize.
And technically being a mean girl.
And I want my pink shirt back!
And I want my pink shirt back!
Technically being a mean girl while calling her a mean girl.
Absolutely. In rewatching this, I've seen this film, several times because it's very funny. But in rewatching it for this, I realized that the only protagonist in the whole film is Tina Fey. She's the protagonist of the film. Everyone else is some version of antagonist, including Katie, the main character.
And now I'm gonna push you because I know you're smarter than this.
Katie's got some growing to do.
She does.
Yeah, I think there's a good point in that Janis is mean girling as well.
Yeah.
And then she's got her sidekick, as her kind of chauffeur as she's doing it.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's also interesting to point out as we go through the clips how Katie's outfits have been changing.
Yeah.
And how the costuming department has shown more and more that she's getting into the plastics kind of lifestyle, if you will. Janis and I can't remember Janis's friend's name, but you can see their clothing stays the same the whole time. So they've stayed with their ideology of what they should be while Katie's changing. And I think Janis, again, calls it out very clearly that, hey, look, not only are you different, but she even looks different.
You look awesome. I know, right?
I think it's really interesting to look at this from Janis being antagonist, because I think that that's very much overlooked, because most people, when they have a choice of Janis or Regina, they identify more with Janis.
Well, Regina's so obviously mean and so obviously a bully from the very beginning, and Janis insinuates herself in a much more sort of acceptable way.
And to your point earlier about a lot of this behavior not being tied to gender, I certainly, like Katie, went through several years in middle school where I tried on different social groups. I tried to be a jock for a while, tried to fit in with the musicians, tried to fit in with, I tried on a bunch of different groups trying to see where I belonged.
Right, that's one of the fundamental things. I think it's in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Belonging is one of it's like food, shelter, water, it's right up there.
Yeah, it's like number 4, I think.
What we need as people.
Yeah.
That we want to feel a sense of belonging. We want to feel a sense that we're not an other.
Can I just say that we don't have a clique problem at this school? And some of us shouldn't have to take this workshop because some of us are just victims in the situation?
That's probably true. How many of you have ever felt personally victimized by Regina George?
And Katie's hand goes up first.
Tim Meadows.
Tim Meadows.
Good. Okay, who's next? Katie, do you have anything you want to own up to?
Yes. No.
You never made up a rumor about anybody?
Just that you sell drugs.
No.
Nothing you want to apologize for?
I couldn't apologize to Ms. Norbury without getting blamed for the whole burn book.
No.
I'm really disappointed in you, Katie.
Okay, so we're all
Yeah, I
here
think
'cause
for
of this
teenagers,
book,
saying that you're
right?
disappointed in them, it can be harsher than saying that you're mad at them.
Yeah, absolutely.
You all have got to stop calling each other sluts and whores. It just makes it okay for guys to call you sluts and whores. Who here has ever been called a slut?
She smiles.
She's smiling, yeah.
It's interesting. You talked about, guys are worried about shame and women are worried about communication.
Losing connection.
And she is very much, it's a combination of both. She's going to lose connections, but she's also feeling immense shame for the things that she's done, and she's trying to conceal that.
But shame is not a gendered emotion.
Absolutely.
I think avoidance of shame is something men are socialized to do, but we're not the only ones who do it. I love your opinion on this, Dr. Sarkis, about the point of this scene regarding you got to stop calling each other sluts and skanks because then it gives men permission to do so.
The flip side of that is that you call each other that, so it takes away the power of the dominant culture calling you that. And we see that across different cultural groups. If you take back a word that you've been called by the dominant culture and you gain more power over it, then when the dominant culture uses it, it's still painful and derogatory, but you also have taken back some of the narrative. And I would argue that they would have been called that anyway, even if they weren't calling each other that. The bigger issue is that the idea that the girls are all tearing each other down. Not so much what they're calling each other, but that they're going after each other.
Comparatively, there's so little power and opportunity and position for female that it turns into, you know, like the jungle fight, like the jungle animal fight that they show earlier, where they're just battling it out for whatever they can get, and so they turn on each other and it's divide and conquer instead of seizing power or uniting to gain position and power together and supporting each other. Do you see that happening? Is that a fair assessment?
We're socialized as women that we only have so many spots at the table. And that if we support each other, well, that means there's less chance that, you know, that I'm going to be able to have this spot, or there's less chance of this happening. And I think that's because it's the reality. We only have, you know, we have to work 5 times as hard as everyone else, you know, it's a dominant gender to achieve the same things. Things are still very skewed. So I think that there's a real tendency to get into that one-upsmanship.
You can't sit with us!
There have been movements towards women supporting each other. I think we saw that the Me Too movement, where you had more and more women coming out supporting each other. And I think that's where things are trending towards, but we still have a long way to go.
20 years ago, Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, the media pitted them against each other, and maybe their managers put them up to
that sells magazines and sells
if it bleeds, it leads, right? And now all of them are coming forward saying how messed up that was, how we were young, impressionable, and we needed to stand together because the industry was so damaging to us. There needs to be change, not just in the entertainment industry, but in society.
Women get together and start sharing their stories like they have been with the Me Too movement. There's a lot more power in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Because if it's just you alone, you're not as much of a threat.
The Dr. Stephanie Sarkis, Jonathan Decker, licensed therapist.
Therapists react.
Therapists have reacted, and I feel enlightened. I've gained knowledge.
You want to do something fun? You want to go to Taco Bell?
I can't go to Taco Bell. I'm on an all-carb diet. God, Karen, you are so stupid.
Dr. Sarkis, where can our viewers find you on the interwebs?
So my website is stephaniesarkis.com. I'm on Instagram at SarkisPhD, Twitter at Stephanie Sarkis, and YouTube at Stephanie Sarkis.
Yeah, links below so you can find all of her stuff.
At therapy_cinema on most of them, r/cinema_therapy, because we wanted it to be confusing.
So until next time, stop trying to make fetch happen.
I want my pink shirt back.
Well, that was sufficiently awkward. And watch movies.
Mom, can you pick me up? I'm scared.
Janis Ian Dyke.
Oh, that's original.
You get a function.
Hey, that's only okay when I say it.